We always have this problem of sainting the dead, as if the act of death itself absolves all of us of our sins. I think it's because, as a society, we want people to think kindly of us. This isn't a nice story, and no one comes clean from it. I always hated summer. It's this suffocating warmth that reminds me of things I don't want to think about. It's the taste of yellow cotton sheets as they're rammed into my mouth and over it. The weight of someone on top of me grinding into me as punishment for not turning my light off at night because I couldn't sleep because the dark scared me. It's being drug up the stairs by your hair because you didn't fold the laundry right. It's prolonged police interrogation tactics on a child. It's gambling yourself to try to get something more. Sometimes it works. When I was little, I almost had my leg broken by my stepfather. I touched his chair. It resulted with me in the fetal position as he kicked my ribs, till he got pissed off enough that he dragged me into a folding chair next to a desk, put his hand above the joint and below the joint, and told me he was going to break it. I told him that he might as well just do it, because at least DCFS would believe me this time. I'm telling you this just to kind of get a sense of what I was used to. When you normalize violence, you don't react typically. Most people don't believe you if you grow up in middle class in a medium to small sized town where most people do a goddamn thing that they all know anyway. It's a summer night, and I was looking up one of my exes. I have this really weird thing that I like to check on the people from the past just to make sure I'm doing better than them. It's this irrational fear that maybe I didn't really survive this, like it's some budget remake of Jacob's Ladder and it's just another one of those rooms. I need to know I'm doing better than them. I need to know that I survived. So I type in his name for the sake of protecting the family. Let's call him Riley. It's a good Missouri, Kansas name. And I saw the article. Read it over and over, and people say the same things. He didn't seem like that kind of person. He was so kind. He was misunderstood. We didn't see it coming, which is fucking hilarious. That's foreshadowing, kids. He was getting ready to be evicted from his home again. His father died in a scuba diving accident the year before. He strangled his mother. He pulled a knife. Somebody actually called the cops. He waited until they came. He thanked them, walked out, ran at the cops, and they shot him. Justifiable. A couple lines on a funeral home website. End of story. Not for me. Because it was something he could foresee. Because he did it to me. And no one gave a fuck about that. I don't really remember the details. I wasn't in a good place. Emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. And I was basically almost on the streets at that point, couch surfing between friends of theirs brought to the Kansas City area to act as a third in a relationship for room and board. In reality, it just meant that the couple starved me, took my money, and threw me on the streets. I know that a friend of ours, let's call her Aubrey, somebody who taught me how twisted love could be. She used to say she'd channel spirits, or maybe it was dissociative identity disorder, or maybe she was just another lost kid trying to feel special by playing pretend. She gave me a stability that I needed at the time, though it was horrible. It was another one of those traits in life, if you wanted love. I was just this virile, fucked up kid that was so used to being treated like an object, wound up, served a purpose, and put back in the box. And she was willing to fill the roles of a lover, a friend, a father figure, a mother. You just never knew who you were going to walk into. And then mix that with Riley's explosive outburst and personality. And these brief times of hanging out kind of normalized things for me in a way I needed. We're just hanging out in Aubrey's living room, and I lightly slapped Riley on the cheeks once, twice, like we were fighting an old time duel, just something fun and light. And the next thing I know, I'm falling. His hands are on my neck, and it hurts. And the shock fades to a calm. My back hits a chair, goes flying, I go flying. One of my rings spins off to parts unknown. I feel the carpet underneath my palms, and pain laces up my back, and I just stare at him. I probably would have insulted him if I could. You grow up normalizing violence. You end up wagering yourself. I learned a long time ago, they can take your body, they can't take your mind, and if they're going to murder you, you better make them fucking earn it. Don't fight back because you can't sometimes. You stare them in the face and you smile if you can, because if they kill you, then that's a fucking victory, because sometimes that's the only form of defiance you have. It's an awful place to go. And the next thing I'm fully aware of is that we're standing in the kitchen and Riley's pulled a knife out of the chopping block. And I think I started laughing at him because I knew he wasn't going to do it. Because I was there at one of the times they tried to evict him before. His dad and him got in a fist fight, and I had to hold him down so he didn't stab him, which meant I had a knife pressed up against my shoulder, slowly easing its way in. If it wasn't a cheap-ass ceremonial knife from the mall, then he would have cut me up. And then he ran. It never occurred to me to call the cops, because growing up you didn't call the cops. They weren't your friends. I talked him into trying to go to a 72-hour hold, trying to get help. And his parents talked him out of it. They covered it up like they always did because it was an embarrassment to them. They didn't call the cops when he molested his 2-year-old cousin because he was, quote, exploring her. Aubrey didn't report to a teacher or her parents when he touched her on the bus when they were kids. No one did anything that he was 23 and I was 17. Not that he did anything untoward until I was legal, but he liked underage girls. He would force me into sex and pay me afterwards as a justification. No one cared what he did. His therapist told me it was my fault for antagonizing him until he strangled the family dog. And then they had to care because they had a problem, because the family dog was worth more than I was. The cycle of abuse is very difficult to break. I've been abused. I've abused. Riley's parents wanted to give him all the chances they could, so they allowed him to victimize other people. He was on the spectrum. He had anger issues. Let's cover it up. My biologic father raped and tortured and beat my mother and almost murdered her, and made it easy for my mother to give me to my stepfather. I'd rather take a beating than listen to the justifications. Everyone who's hurt me has always talked to me afterwards about it. It's the reason why I think that empathy and sympathy and kindness are not a benefit. Over the years and miles, 2 time zones, a marriage, a house, a career, a dog, I've reached a point of being okay. And that's the hardest thing to deal with, because what scares you doesn't go away when you close your eyes. It just moves in, as the whole line from the book goes. It's a constant struggle to be okay. And being okay is scary in its own right. There's no grand moral to the story. There's no victory. It's just life. It goes on with or without you. I always wanted the universe to give me an apology, because I was so sick of being so bitterly amused when everything would go so terribly wrong. And in a way, this is my apology. Vindication that I wasn't a liar, that I didn't make up stories, that I didn't remember incorrectly. But more so, it's important to have compassion and to be kind. It's a loss for a family. It's a loss of a person. It's a life cut short. It's a tragedy. It's something that happens every day. Thank you.